I recently posted a video around my feline mate, Frederick Weatherer, and in that I referenced a sorted little book called The Four Agreements, a wonderful way to live life, as espoused brilliantly by the Mexican spiritual author Miguel Ruiz. Number 4 of those agreements is always do your best. A story, if I may. I popped on a pair of shorts over the weekend, getting ready for the day, and a fly button flew off as I was fastening them up. FFS. Irritating as it was, I was confident that I could sew it back on, even though I'm pretty crap at needlework. It may surprise some people, but I do have a sewing kit button box holder thingy containing within it that is required for such a task as that which lay ahead. Getting into action, I thought this can't be too difficult, especially as I had found a little plastic, slidey lidded container that must have come in a first-class flight complimentary pouch, seeing as it was stamped the Concorde Room, a remnant from an old life I used to live. In my sewing kit button box holder thingy that contained needles, ready threaded with cotton. A good start, no sucking ends, closing one eye and aiming wildly into thin air. With needle poised, gearing up to perform seamstress surgery, I began by inspecting the fallout site, upon which it quickly became apparent that the other 4 fly-securing buttons were also at risk of following suit and fluing off, absconding from their duties of keeping my tackle encased, which surprised me a little as they were not cheap. Open brackets, the shorts, that is, not my tackle. Close brackets. And so it seemed like a good idea to restitch them all more securely whilst I was at it. You would, wouldn't you? This is going to be a piece of piss, I thought. Around 45 minutes later, after pricking my finger numerous times, how the F do you figure out the poke-through spot? I stopped to admire my first button stitch-on handiwork, only to realise I had not lined its secured position with the corresponding fly buttonhole, and pushing the button home through the slit, so to speak, created a ruche in the fly placket that was not at all flattering, and so I had to cut it off and start again. Exhausting. This was going to be harder than I had first thought. Point in case, my granny used to whip a button on with around 8 or 9 loops of thread and a few back stitches, and bosh, it was never going to come off. I am not so confident, and so I like to just keep looping and stitching until the thread has run out, and then I just chop the string off close to the button. Hence the raised, bobbly cotton lump backs that are quite obvious in the picture. But hey, just like grannies, these bad boys are never going to come off, even though they are perhaps aesthetically lacking. Around 2 hours later, I did stop to pour a glass of wine mid-challenge, to be fair. I had done my best. As I lay on the floor, with the cold wetted flannel releasing its water juice across my forehead, and my sulky, pulsing finger being comforted like a piglet suckling in my mouth, I recalled from my distant memory a Churchill quote, that my woodwork teacher once took the opportunity to share with me, like I cared, in an attempt to encourage me to work harder to try to get the cut-out squares on my chessboard, which I was making or trying to make, aligned at a point when my saw and level gauge were not on Team Simon. They never did get on Team Simon, if I'm going to be honest here. He quoted to me, "Sometimes doing your best is not good enough. Sometimes you must do what is required." Winston S. Churchill. Well, Mr. Churchill, and Mr. Lane, my woodwork teacher, I disagree. Actually, sometimes doing one's best is good enough. Think about that for a while.